If you practice these 5 things with your kids, I can almost guarantee you, and you have to do this consistently over time, that they will listen to you, they will do what you ask them to do, and you will create one of the most important aspects of the parent-child relationship, influence. Okay? So let's get started. The first point that I encourage you to do is be trustworthy. What does that mean? It's pretty obvious, but let's go into it a little bit. Being trustworthy means that you do what you say you're going to do with your kids. You say you're going to pick them up on a certain time, be there early. Early is on time. That's how I live my life. Be there early and be there like you said you were going to be. If you're not going to be, let them know, communicate some way that you're going to be late. And here's a key piece. Be 100% responsible for how you didn't fulfill upon something you said you were going to do. For example, there was bad traffic. Okay, fine. You could have left earlier. You could have left your job earlier, and you didn't. You chose not to, so you're going to be late. Just a quick example of being responsible, not for modeling's sake, but for you as a person, as a parent, of being a great person, a reliable person, a trustworthy person. Be trustworthy with your kids and be reliable with your kids. Meaning, they will believe what you say when you say it if you're a trustworthy person. They'll do what you say to do if they believe in your word, if your word means something, right? So become trustworthy, become reliable, yes, in your life, but if you do that enough in your life, then it will trickle into the relationship with your kids. So number 1, be trustworthy. Number 2, have emotional integrity. What does that mean? It means that what you say is lined up with how you feel. If you are angry, you express anger in an appropriate way. If you're frustrated, you express frustration in an appropriate way. If you're happy, you share in a happy way. You're aligned so that they can trust the experience of you. Most kids who are struggling in their lives don't trust their parents because their parents don't say how they feel. I'm fine. How are you, Mom? Okay, kids don't ask how you are most of the time, all right? But you share. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just stressed, that's all. I'm a little stressed, but it's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Fine. You know the whole acronym for fine? Effed up, inconsistent, neurotic, and extroverted, something like that. Most people use the term fine when they're not fine. If you're not fine, just say you're not fine, right? Be authentic. Be willing to be vulnerable with your kids. With the asterisk, don't let them be responsible for your emotional well-being, but at the same time, be authentic. Here's a very generalized way of what that means. Sweetie, I'm having a really hard day. It was really stressful. You might even start crying a little bit. It was a really hard day at work. Your brother is really struggling with something, and that's hard for me. And you know what? I'm okay, and we're going to get through this. Right? You can feel just even in that moment how you have this sense of like, oh, I think he's going to be okay. I think he actually is okay, right? So number 2, have emotional integrity. Number 1, remember what it was? Be trustworthy and reliable. Number 2, have emotional integrity. Number 3, be selfless. Again, when I've worked with young people who struggle for about 23 years at this point, and the parents of these young people who struggle, they are so hardworking and so all of these categories, actually, interestingly enough. One of the things that I'm going to take a quick tangent here. One of the things that I don't appreciate is how parents of young people get generalized as if they're bad parents. And I've got to tell you, I've made my entire career, I've spent over 70,000 hours working with young people and families who are struggling, young people in particular. And the families are fantastic families. There are some families who have significant struggles, who can't do the first just 3 things that I mentioned because their level of struggle is so intense. But the vast majority of 95% of these families, they are good people, right? So all that to say, if your young person is struggling, you are not a bad person. You are not a bad parent. You're doing your best. I believe that. I know that in you. I haven't even met you. I've just done this enough to know that you're a good person and you're doing your best, all right? Let's come back to the top 5 here, okay? Being selfless, all right? Now, let's define what selflessness means in its healthy context, not a distorted context. Being selfless means that you are happy, grateful even, to give of yourself to another person, to give your energy, to give your effort, to give your time to another person. Being selfless doesn't mean that you sacrifice, that you're a martyr, that you're bitter, that you're resentful. Now, I get it. I'm a selfless person, right? And sometimes I'm not always happy that I'm giving my energy to something that I said I was going to. But do I find my way to get back to a place of gratitude consistently over time and practice that? Absolutely. And you can too. So number 3, be selfless. And in the right kind of way, be selfless. Meaning give of yourself in a joyful, grateful way. Even if you're tired, there's in every moment, I'm a firm, this is not even a believer, a knower of this. Anyone on the planet can get access to being grateful in any moment. It simply takes a choice. So if you're being selfless and you're giving yourself to something and you're exhausted and you're tired and you're frustrated and you're like, oh my God, I put myself out too much. I shouldn't have committed to this. Why did I do this? I don't want to do this anymore. Find a way to correct that and to be grateful for it, or to get into your heart and express some kind of gratitude, some kind of joy, some kind of connection to get you back into that aligned aspect of selflessness. Okay? All right, so we've got being trustworthy and reliable. 2, having emotional integrity. 3, being selfless. And 4, be silly. Relax, chill, laugh at yourself, be ridiculous. Make faces at your kids sometimes. Be a little sarcastic, and not like in the mean sarcastic, but kind of like, just be irreverent sometimes. Loosen up. Don't be so serious. Everything is not so serious. I have to tell you, some of the most effective parents that I've ever worked with were able to crack a joke or be sarcastic or find some lightness, even in the hardest of times. I didn't even teach that to them. In fact, I was probably more serious because I was in the role of facilitator or therapist at that time than they were. But they found a way, and you should see these kids just kind of light up and crack a smile, even when there's an intense conversation, or there's a fight, or there's anger, or someone's really struggling. Find a way. I'm not saying do that all the time. Then it becomes deflection, and that's inauthentic. And that's just about being emotionally uncomfortable with emotionally intense situations. But find a way. If you're being too serious, if you're too, just relax, open up, chuckle a little bit, laugh a little bit, find some lightness to the situation, be ridiculous, be silly, laugh at yourself. You're not that cool. You're not that high achieving. You're not that bad at anything, actually. Find a way to find some lightness in your life and in yourself, and that will just bring, and I tell you, this has the ability to influence kids. Another quick tangent from my life. My parents were actors in college. And, they weren't really, I'm just thinking of this now, they weren't really actors. They didn't really act when I was, when they were raising me, when they were educating me. And, but I tell you, me and my sister, we are actors. I don't know why, but like they brought in a silliness into our lives that now I have access to that, and I can be this way with you now, and I'm 46. Right? So be silly, be ridiculous a little bit, be irreverent at times, right? Don't be so serious. All right. So we've got being trustworthy and reliable. 2, having emotional integrity. 3, being selfless in the right kind of ways. 4, be silly, laugh at yourself, be ridiculous. And number 5, be awesome. Okay? Let's define what being awesome means. Now, it can mean many different things. Here's the number one thing that I was thinking about of how you can define awesome for yourself. How would you need to be so that your kids, when they thought of you or when they talked about you with their friends, said this? Oh yeah, what are your parents like? I don't know, man. They're just awesome. They're just awesome. So what would you have to be like in order to have them feel that way, right? One of the ways that I see is that parents are funny, that they are direct, that they're strong, that they hold boundaries. They hold boundaries even when their kids don't want them to, and especially when parents don't want to hold their own boundaries with their kids because it's uncomfortable, they do it anyway. Other qualities of awesome parents, they find a way to care when there are compelling reasons not to care about what they're doing with their kids. So they're staying up late building a race car for their kid on Christmas night, and it's like 2 a.m, right? They find a way to enjoy it. They make the extra effort to be engaged in their kids' lives, and don't make their kids responsible for their feelings if their kids aren't grateful for how they make the extra effort. Meaning, they make the extra effort to enjoy and be engaged in their kids' lives, and they bring a certain lightness to it. My dad, before he had died, well before he had died, he dressed up like a cheerleader, and he and a bunch of dads did a cheerleading routine at my sister's high school. It was hilarious. You know, I mean, and it's for sure my sister was like, he is awesome. I mean, she was mortified, of course, but she was laughing and in tears. And it was just beautiful, right? So think about the qualities that your child, because it'll be different for everybody, how they could think of you and just be like, God, my dad's awesome. My mom's awesome. You know, and of course they're not going to feel that way all the time, but on a foundational level, can they have that view of you? Now, that's their perception of you is not 100% reliant on you. They have their own stuff that's going to color their relationship with you, how they see you. But how can you give them compelling reasons to think of you as an awesome person and as an awesome parent? Right? I know that without even me going through some of these basic things, you could think of that. But really think about that. Spend some time. Truly, like, how can you become an awesome person, then parent? Right? Think about this. And you can do it. You can recreate and create anything that you want in your life in addition to you, as well as you. And once you create yourself how you want to be, your results will start to mimic that. All right, that's a little personal development add-on at the end here. So let's go over these things, all right? So number one, in order to create influence with your kids and give them compelling reasons to listen to you and to ultimately do what you say, they shouldn't do what you say all the time because we want them to be independent, but to have influence, be trustworthy and reliable, have emotional integrity, be selfless in the right kind of ways, be silly and laugh at yourself, and lastly, and perhaps most importantly, define awesome for yourself and become that. And I rest assured you will have more and more influence over time with your kids. It's been a delight being with you. If you enjoyed the video, hit a little subscribe, a thumbs up, support the channel, and it's great being with you as always. All my best.